Is the MCU entering multiverse territory? The Spider-Man Far From Home trailer certainly seems to think so. We're going to get to the bottom of whether or not a multiverse is now in play or if Mysterio is just lying out of his fishbowl head. Plus, we're going to break down all of the untitled Marvel projects that Disney has dropped on its slate all the way through 2022. What could each of those 8 films be? Plus updates on Black Widow, Eternals, a whole bunch more. Even Jessica Jones is in the news today. Let's talk about it today.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Marvel Movie News.
Hey guys, welcome back to Marvel Movie News. Excelsior to you. We're coming to you live from Venice, Italy.
Ooh.
This week. It's very fancy here.
It is fancy.
I have put on about 10 pounds worth of just pasta. Mm-hmm. No, we're not actually in Italy. I wish.
Me too.
But Spider-Man's in Italy.
We should go to Italy and do a special Spider-Man show when it comes out.
Hey, can AfterBuzz pay for that?
That'd be great.
It's a work expense, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
at the very least, we need to start a GoFundMe so that people can send us.
All right. We're going to go on Popcorn Talk's dime.
That's right.
Thank you,
Help
Maria
us.
and Kevin. But thank you so much for joining us, Marvel Movie News. Please like, rate, subscribe, all of those fancy things that help us stay on the air and keep the lights and cameras filled with electricity. We don't have an electro to do it for us. I'm Zach Wilson. Across the table, we got Christian Bladt.
Howdy.
And next to him, Xia Anderson.
That's me.
The panel's all here. Thank you to JLo in the booth and to Colt Badeau helping us out tweeting from the Star Jammer.
Yay.
All right. How are you guys feeling this week?
I'm feeling
good. Marvel
good.
week?
Yeah, it's a good Marvel week. We're getting closer to Spider-Man Far From Home, so I'm getting real excited.
Yeah, we got a Spider-Man Far From Home trailer. It was Free Comic Book Day.
Ooh, I got all
right.
kinds of stuff.
Did you guys do some fun stuff for Free Comic Book Day?
Yes, I did. I brought them into Marvel TV Weekly, so if you haven't seen that, I brought them all in. You can see everything that I got, but I got the Dark Phoenix saga, which I'm going to
Nice.
start before that comes out. I'm really excited.
Right, and we showed off some of our free comics, and there were some good Marvel ones and some good ones from other publishers too. But
Yeah.
huge stacks of free Spidey and Avengers that I was happy to see when I walked in.
Nice. I spent most of my Free Comic Book Day playing Dungeons and Dragons.
That's great.
So I didn't make it to the store, but then I spent the whole night just like sitting with my Marvel Unlimited subscription, like reading through like all these books. I read a bunch of Spider-Man books, Spider-Geddon, West Coast Avengers, which everyone had been telling me, you need to read West Coast Avengers, like the new run.
Right.
And I finally did, and I read a couple issues of it. It's so good.
Check that
And
out.
then get back into Gwenpool, who, if you haven't read Gwenpool and you're a big Marvel nerd, which I assume if you're listening to me talk right now, you're probably a Marvel nerd.
I think.
You should read Gwenpool.
Gwenpool? Okay, cool.
It's not a Deadpool ripoff, although she does break the fourth wall, but that's like the whole book is her breaking the fourth wall. It's
I'm
in
into
a
it.
super fun, unique way. I don't even want to spoil it. Just check it out. I think the first volume's on Comixology Unlimited. It's definitely all on Marvel Unlimited.
I have that, so easy peasy.
So I'm still finishing because there's still a few more issues I need to read. But Free Comic Book Day. Hope you all had fun. Tell us what you were reading over the weekend, or if you just were seeing Endgame for the 18th time. That works too.
I tried to get tickets to see that again this weekend, and the theaters were full. I had to go see The
Wow.
Long Shot instead.
I'm so sorry that you had to see a
had
movie
to
that
go.
wasn't Endgame. Yeah,
I know.
I
That's
took
really
my
funny.
kids to see the Ugly Dolls movie, and I apologized to them for not taking them to see Endgame.
That makes sense, yeah.
I didn't get to go see it again this weekend, but as far as a box office update on Avengers Endgame,
Oh my God.
Look
well,
out.
before we dive into the Spider-Man trailer and all of our thoughts on that, this movie cannot be stopped. James Cameron even tweeted a nice graphic, like basically conceding his concession speech for Titanic, where it was the Avengers logo as the iceberg, like pushing the Titanic
That's
out of the
amazing.
water. It was great because as of yesterday, Avengers Endgame has officially crossed Titanic to be the second most profitable film of all time, second
Wow.
only to Avatar. And I feel like Avatar is just like getting ready.
Avatar, we're coming for you.
So far, $645 million domestically.
Holy crap.
Past Jurassic World today. And worldwide has made $2.29 billion at the box office. That's where we are right now.
Jeez.
2.29, almost $2.3 billion.
And that is the proof right there that Marvel reigns supreme. We win.
All right, but let's talk about Spider-Man, you guys. So this was the first trailer that they've dropped post-Endgame. I actually heard it's going that for starting this weekend, they're going to start tagging the end of Endgame with the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer.
Okay. All the more
I
reason
like
to go
that.
see it
Like
again.
this new one,
Yeah.
because this trailer does give us... So, like, fair warning, if you haven't seen Endgame yet, this trailer, and thus our discussion about the trailer, is going to be filled with Endgame spoilers. Even Tom Holland shows up at the beginning of the trailer to be like, warning, this has spoilers for Endgame.
This is not on topic, but listening to him with his British accent might be the cutest thing just ever. Because I'm not expecting it. I always forget he's British.
It's impressive the amount of like people who you don't realize are British because their American accents are so clean.
Right?
Dang Brits. I wish I was good at accent.
You probably do all right. Come on.
I can't
Don't sell yourself
hide
short.
for like years behind an accent. All
Could
right.
do a whole show.
But so what did you guys think of the trailer?
It just makes me more excited for it. And also, I really did think before Endgame came out, I know there was speculation, I kind of thought it was going to be in like a weird in-between point, not after Endgame. So I was like, oh, all right, cool. Like I'm excited to see what that world is like because I didn't think I was going to get to see that after Endgame was over.
Yeah, Spider-Man's it's great that it happened to be Spider-Man who gets the follow-up film because he's so close to the ground. I think we're going to get to see a lot of what the world is reacting like all those little things, those little questions of like, what happens when people just disappear for 5 years and then come back and then the world is like in shambles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of logistical questions that come after that Marvel's probably going to like just pass over. Like, food supply chains are probably pretty messed up.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And then also we're going to get to see it just on the smaller, like personal levels of him going back to school with people that he hasn't seen for 5 years or haven't seen him for 5 years. Like all of it. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that just the visuals are cool and like, oh, that looks great. But then you're like, okay, good. They're going to start answering the questions that I think a lot of us are like, yeah, but what about this? And what about that? So I think it's good that, the trailer very clearly indicates we're going to start to at least get some answers.
Yeah. The trailer's really fun.
Yeah.
It makes this movie look super fun. And so let's talk about the big thing that dropped. Like, obviously we get Spider-Man going on vacation. Like, that's nothing new. I like the cute moment with him and the police officers.
Yeah.
That was really cool. If you listen, I'm pretty sure that when he says I'm going on vacation, it's not from that scene. Clearly different audio. Anyway, that's nothing unusual for a trailer.
Right.
But the big thing was we get a little bit more time with Mysterio. And if you caught the clip they showed on Ellen this week, and then released online afterwards, there was a larger discussion between Spider-Man and Mysterio. And what drops in those moments are our version of Mysterio, at least this guy that we're seeing in this movie, is not, according to him, from this universe. He's from an alternate universe, and even Spider-Man drops thing. You mean are you saying there's a multiverse? What was your guys' first reaction when you heard the word multiverse in an MCU movie?
Miles Morales? Is that you?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking like maybe even a Spider-Verse, but obviously I think it's it's exciting because of the possibilities. There's so many options, and I think a lot of people are of course speculating characters that we want to see included in the MCU. That this is a logical way to get them there. I think people holding their breath for that to happen in this movie.
You don't have to be coy about it. You're talking about the X-Men.
Hey, I don't know. Well, I'm just trying to say, you know, X-Men and Fantastic Four, and you know, there's a laundry list of people that they want, and you know, I think it's great because I think it'll be the beginning of dealing with the multiverse. You know, I don't think that this is the story that's like gonna, you know, close the book on it. So I think it's great that they're even putting in trailers like, oh yeah, so multiverse is happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interest. So my initial thought when I heard, of all people, Mysterio dropping the word multiverse, I'm like I heard like Saga's lying cat like in my head, lying. Like, it's Mysterio, you can't trust him.
Yeah.
So but it's a weird thing to drop if you're going to just take it back that like he's lying. So is it possible that so here are like the list of possibilities as I see it. They're from this universe, which, okay, before I list the possibilities, there was another thing that he dropped in that extended scene. He officially numbered the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which had been previously numbered, not ever on screen, but he just did the on-screen numbering that will drive us all insane because so now, according to this trailer, the MCU is Universe 616.
Right.
And he's from Universe 833, but because we already have a 616 universe. Spider-Man has a 616 universe. Like the Peter B. Parker universe in Spider-Verse is 616. And now the MCU is 616. How am I supposed, if I'm having conversations like this every week about Marvel, how am I supposed to differentiate which 616 universe I'm talking about? You've made it so hard. You could have just made it 615 or 617 or 161. There's so many other numbers, you guys. Previously, the MCU was 199,999. Were you guys upset by this, or just me?
I mean, maybe
too.
not to your level, but yeah, I can see how it gets really confusing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I heard. I was like, so wait, which one of these really is 616? And of course, like Zach said, everything that Mysterio says, I'm like, but how much do I trust him? But why would he lie about the number, you know? So
yeah, basically it's going to become, you're going to have like 616C, which is the comic, 616 M, which is the movies, the MCU, and 616 A, which is the animation or something, or 616S.
Man.
I actually think they did add a letter, although I can't remember offhand what it was in Spider-Verse, because you only saw it on screen. And I think they did add a letter to the end of it because they were thinking and they were like, we have to differentiate these things. Monsters. But anyway, that aside. So here are the possibilities for if Mysterio is telling the truth about the multiverse or not. He's either from the MCU proper and he made up the whole thing, which has a lot of questions. So we'll examine it. So it's either he's from the MCU proper and he made it up. He's from an alternate universe, but he's still doing Mysterio lying stuff to make up the elementals. Or this is all a way to fake us out, and Mysterio is actually a good guy in this movie somehow.
I mean, it feels like that's the way they're kind of portraying it in the trailers, but I don't trust that at all. Because that would, again, be weird.
it would be weird, but I mean, you know, the Mandarin was Gandhi, you know, and he wasn't really Mandarin. So, I mean, they're clearly willing to do whatever they want in the terms of artistic license. But
that's true.
I don't expect him to be a good guy. No. Maybe a better guy than the Mysterio we're used to, but I think he's going to still probably be fairly self-serving.
If I was going in clean, like blank slate, like don't know anything about Mysterio, except that he's like a Spider-Man villain, I would say like, oh, maybe he's a good guy, and then the events of the movie turn him bad.
That's true. Yeah, I could see that.
But like, you're doing a wild shift from the comic book version of Mysterio in that case. If he's not like a special effects wizard who uses that to like be a bad guy and like trick people into thinking he's good or whatever it is he's doing here. That seems like the obvious implication. The clear way to do an MCU Mysterio is he like sees a hole where there's no heroes around and he uses special effects to make it look like he's a hero, and then Spider-Man reveals that he's not and he hates Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's rogues gallery continues to build. That seems like a clear-cut way to do it, but but here's the thing is the fact that we have Nick Fury and Maria Hill working with him, they're their BS detectors are about among the best in the world.
True.
So if he's able to trick Mysterio, or if he's able to trick Nick Fury, that's some pretty next level trickery. Like you don't fool Nick Fury easily.
Right, but I mean, his whole skill set is to fool people. So, if he's like, I'm only going to need to fool these couple people and be able to pull a real fast one. But I agree with your point. The indication is that they've certainly vetted him more than, if he was just working with, just as if Spider-Man is the one who teamed up with him, and he's like, oh, I met this guy. He seems like a good guy. I think, his BS detector not as good as Nick and Maria's. So
but they're clearly like working with him. So is it a thing where Nick Fury is like, this guy's not on the level, but he's helping, so we'll go with it? Could be that. I don't know. I don't know what to think here.
Or they're keeping an eye on him, sort of thing. Like keep your enemies close. Just because they're like, this guy's a little bit shifty. Let's keep him where we can see him.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's possible. It was interesting that he dropped 833 as the universe that he's from. The comic book universe that refers to is the one with Spider UK,
right?
Which is the one where Captain Britain and Spider-Man are the same guy. It's not Peter Parker.
What?
It's Brian
Braddock.
Okay, I was like, it's not Billy Braddock. It's Brian Braddock. Is Spider UK, who's a British Spider-Man who's like super buff.
What?
As Spider-Man
I have to
should
find
be.
these.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna need to know what this is about.
But Spider UK in the comics also is like keyed into the multiverse, like efficiently. So like there is reason for that to be the version that we're going with here. I don't know. It's a very specific choice. Again, you could pick from any list of numbers, but they chose 616 for the MCU, or at least that's what Beck is going to say. And they chose 833 for him to claim there. They didn't do that lightly. They don't put you don't put Spider-Man in Europe and then call out the version where a Spider-Man is like British for no reason. I'm just saying.
So we might get another Spider-Man?
I don't think we're going to get another Spider-Man in here.
Just a little cameo of
Not-
a Spider-Man?
not in this movie,
A
yeah.
mention
Not
of a
necessarily
Spider-Man?
in this movie,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It was to me that's not an accidental choice. That you've got a European Spider-Man and a European movie. I don't know. So it's possible. It's possible that maybe Beck knew Spider UK. He's like, there was a Spider-Man in my universe. He was British, and then that's the throwaway line that like we all like, haha, whoa, Spider UK exists, and sort of whatever. I do think this was partially Sony teeing up Tom Holland for an appearance in Spider-Verse 2.
Ooh, I hope so.
Because like there's no reason why not. Like you couldn't just like drop him in, even if it's for a couple moments. Like you pull him out and put him back in to the MCU.
Wow, you just made me think of having live action Tom Holland surrounded by animated characters, which I don't think is what you were saying, but that's what I visualized.
That's what I was saying.
Oh, okay, that is what you're saying, because I'm like, yeah, I want that. Because animated Tom Holland is like, oh, that's cute. But no, if you bring live action and he's especially, let's be honest, I just want to see him with Spider-Ham. But yeah, I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, once you like how much of a success Spider-Verse was, I feel like Marvel and Disney will be more willing to do something like that, and I would love to see them just keep pulling in different Spider-Men. Like, I want to see Leopardon from the Japanese Spider-Man show. Like, because this is what Spider-Verse did in the comics that was so much fun, is they were able to pull from like absurd things, and they're like, they had weird lines like with two random Spider-Men talking, and it's like, yeah, I saw one Spider-Man that looked like the guy in Seabiscuit.
I love that.
There was one over there who looks like the guy from Social Network. I don't know what's happening.
That's great.
Like, it was so and then like and then one other guy comes up, that's nothing. There's one over there that won't stop singing show tunes. It's just like, that's the fun that you can do if all the parties can get together to have fun there. So I don't know why, even if it's just for like a scene where you get like a field of Spider-Men and Tom Holland is just there.
Senor Nerd in the chat says that he'd like to see Tom Holland as UK Spidey using his actual British voice.
Yeah,
I would love that. Yeah.
But you have to get
You have
real
to
buff
bulk
because he's
up.
not. He can like Tom Holland's not really big enough to be Captain Britain.
Yeah, that's true.
He tiny.
All right, so but that's just the Mysterio part of it. Like that was the thing. They dropped that, and like everything else going on in the trailer was like, yeah, that's all cool. It's cool. Multiverse. But so other than that, in the trailer, there's some really fun stuff between Spider-Man and his friends. Tony Revolori having tons of fun as Flash. Happy Hogan is going to be a clear, not just like a little thing at the beginning, like he's flirting with Aunt May in the last trailer. That's fun. No, he's going to be like his chaperone or his like go-between for, I guess, whatever version of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury is running now. Probably not S.H.I.E.L.D., but S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Right. I'm excited to see a bit more of Happy. I feel like it's been a while. Like he was in
Endgame Homecoming.
And Homecoming,
Yeah.
yeah. But still, I just,
Yeah, it made sense for him
seeing
to
him.
be there. John
Yeah.
Favreau was even talking about how he's like, this was supposed to just be my like director cameo in the movie. Like I got a couple days in front of the camera while I was shooting this.
That's awesome.
You didn't expect it to be like, oh yeah, I'm appearing in the most profitable movie of all time, and then 2 Spider-Man films and all this stuff. But like, I really liked him here. One of my favorite parts of the trailer was between Happy and Flash, when they're like trying to get the kids out of there.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, you gotta come with me. I work with Spider-Man. You work for Spider-Man. I don't work for Spider-Man. I work with him.
That was good.
Super, like, again, just like building those character moments between these people. Like, it's so much fun to see Flash, like, just like fawning over Spider-Man, and then like Happy, who's like begrudgingly all good with Spider-Man. But it's sad at the top of the trailer.
Yeah.
It's very sad, yeah.
Dude, Tom Holland does sad so well that every time I see his poor little face get sad and his eyes fill with tears, I'm just like, my heart, I'm going to start crying right now. He does it. He does such a good job. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like this trailer is like showing like it's a world without Iron Man. Do you guys think that Spider-Man, like, because that clearly is going to be part of this movie? The last one was him like seeing Iron Man as a father figure. Now he's lost another father figure. That's 3 down for Peter Parker. 3 father figures that he's lost. And now he's got like Happy as like his weird uncle.
That's a great way of putting it. His weird uncle.
Did you guys pick up? And here we have a photo of this. There's a moment where he throws on sunglasses, and these, if we throw that up, this is the best still I could get of it. Those are the same sunglasses that Tony is wearing in Infinity War at the beginning, when he after he goes to see Doctor Strange, and then he's like walks outside and he puts them on and he's like, Friday, what do I got? Those are the Friday glasses. So I'll bet you he's like looking in surprise because like he was looking at some kind of digital readout from those.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch.
Do you think that Tony bequeathed him his sunglass collection?
I hope that's what it was. You get nothing, but you can have all of my sunglasses.
Or even if it's just that one pair.
That's sweet.
Do you guys think there's a possibility that we get a Robert Downey Jr. cameo in this, like a separate recorded,
like a recorded message,
a recorded message from Tony?
That'd be nice.
I think it's possible, but I'm thinking it's unlikely. I think it's just they kind of want to leave the impact of having him say goodbye in Endgame, and I don't think they want to rush him into the next movie that they do.
I agree with that. I think it would be, as much as it would be nice and like it might be very heartfelt and like very emotional, it might be too soon.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on the trailer? As like with other things that stood out to you that you guys really liked? Chat, chime in too.
I love when Peter's talking to MJ and that he wants to tell her something.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's like, that's your Spider-Man. He's like, what? No, me? I'm not Spider-Man. So I thought that was great.
I still like that moment. It's from the old trailer, but I still like it every time when you tell her that she looks pretty and she goes, therefore I have value. And she's like, just kidding. You look pretty too.
Yeah.
But that's a huge moment for MJ to be like, that's like a late arc thing for Peter to reveal it. But of course, again, we're talking about the MCU where no one has secret identities.
Right.
And so like everyone plays a lot more logically, where it's like, yeah, you disappeared, and then Spider-Man, who's usually in New York, happened to be in DC and saved us. Like, come on, you got the same bill.
And especially because, I mean, we don't know what, obviously we haven't seen the movie, but if that moment happens after Spider-Man shows up in Europe, I think she'll be like, yeah, it really wasn't that hard to figure out, Peter. You know?
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, and he shows up. The other photo that we have from the Spider-Man thing is the black suit, which I saw people online being like, "Is this like the evil suit?" It's like, does this mean it's like a nega Spidey from an alternate universe? Like, this is just a stealth suit, you guys. Like, this is clearly like something that either Tony made or Nick Fury had made. I'm putting my money on Nick Fury made this as a stealth Spider-Man suit to work undercover, because he's running a spy agency, and now he's like, Spider-Man's gonna be on my team. So like it's a cool looking suit. We'd seen it before. It's not an alternate universe Spider-Man. It's just stealth.
It's just Peter.
Stealth.
Yeah.
It's stealth Peter. But yeah, so I am excited to see this movie, even more so from this, because we're gonna see what a post-Endgame world looks like.
And obviously there's fun stuff with Fury, him dodging Fury's calls. And
that was great.
The line that someone in the chat said that they don't think that Nick Fury would say "bitch, please." I don't know. I can't imagine him not saying it.
Yeah,
So,
no, that
especially
sounds like
because you don't cast Sam Jackson as Nick Fury and expect him to not say "bitch." And, you know, the day where he says "mother effer" is coming, I just, you know...
He did it already.
Well, no, he didn't finish it because he turned to dust.
He did it as much as you can in a PG-13 movie.
That's true. So, but anyway, I just thought that was a great line. You know, he's like, oh, you know, it's the same thing that he said before. I just want to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Bitch, please, you went to space. Yeah, exactly. You're never going to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man again.
Yeah, sorry, too late. It'd be great if they made a rated R movie just for him to say that line, Nick Fury.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Just one line
It's like
in
the
the
only
movie.
reason why this
Yeah.
movie's rated R.
It's the one reason. I would actually love that.
Yeah, and like it is worth mentioning some stuff that's been talked about by some of the creators. This because people were asking, like, all right, we're jumping 5 years. Like, could this mean like we've got like a Miles Morales running around? Talked about that theory last week.
Yeah.
Reading through some of the interviews with the writers and with John Watts, the director, like it doesn't sound like Miles is going to show up immediately, but they are aware of that possibility that the nephew referenced in Far From Home could come back. And then they were talking, comicbook.com was talking to executive producer Eric Carroll about the potential of J. Jonah Jameson and the Bugle being in this. And it's an interesting interview, so I'd suggest you go check it out. Mm-hmm. But when they asked, they were like, he talked about like, oh, well, you know, it wouldn't be quite the same because kids don't like, you can't just have Peter Parker like want to be a journalist, a photographer journalist, because that's not what kids today want to be. Kids aren't generally aspiring to be photojournalists, but that doesn't mean that the Bugle and J. Jonah Jameson can't be updated in a particular way. Like we saw, he was a podcast host in the recent Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Right, and also on the Disney XD animated series, it is sort of like Peter's creating like web content and filming videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to update the concept of the Daily Bugle. Yeah, I mean, I don't think someone Peter Parker's age knows what a newspaper is. So, you know, I don't know that you'd want to go work for one.
I mean, Spider-Man the influencer. What if it's J. Jonah Jameson the influencer?
He's got like 20 million followers on Instagram, and he posts like Spider-Man pictures all the time. That'd be kind of amazing.
I mean, him is basically like a Fox News correspondent, is like too on par, is like too perfect. They've done it before in certain adaptations, but yeah, we'll see where that goes. That when pressed about it, the EP Eric Carroll said, like, are you saying that they won't be included in the movie? No, that's the quote.
Yeah.
No. So we might see it. We might get some J. Jonah Jameson.
That would be amazing. That's the one thing I'm missing. Although I don't know if I can have a J. J. Jonah Jameson without J.K. Simmons.
Well, who's to say it's not going to be J.K. Simmons?
It better be.
He says that if there had been a third Andrew Garfield movie, they had approached him to play Jonah Jameson in that movie.
Are you serious? I had not
he just
heard
said
that.
like casually in an interview.
Great.
He said like, "Oh no, we had talked about it." You know, so I don't think there was a contract or anything, but he was open to it. So I would love to see him.
I
as
would be
Jonah.
super down. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I was just saying Jonah. I just didn't get his name out right,
Jonah
so it's fine.
Jameson?
Yeah.
I would be super down if he's the only thing that bridges the two universes.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
It is J.K. Simmons. It's like he looks just like the one on Meyer, like one of Mysterio's, the one who's dropping that.
That would be great.
That's the same one. It's like every J. Jonah Jameson is J.K. Simmons. You can't do it without him. Anyway, or they just go get Darren DePaul. He's too nice. He looks too nice. He's great as him in the game. Way too nice. All right. So we're gonna move on from the Spider-Man
because
trailer.
there's something in the chat that I think is worth mentioning from the trailer.
Please do.
Han Q in the chat likes the fact that they reference Thor, but this is the first time anyone refers to Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel in this trailer because she has never identified herself as that. So there's been a lot written about that. So I just wanted to give Han.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't even notice it.
Yeah,
It, like,
'cause
didn't
we call it
faze
Captain
me.
Marvel, yeah.
Yeah. But that's 100% true. The way that they use code names and like superhero names in this universe, again, because they don't have secret identities, is so interesting. I was wrong. I acknowledge it to people who called me out on it about the Hawkeye thing.
Oh, that's
it has
right.
been dropped twice in the MCU. Very, very quietly in the Avengers during the battle scene, Black Widow yells up at him, Hawkeye, and you see it on screen in another part of that movie. But like very, very few times is he referred to as Hawkeye. And just nobody had directly referred to her as Captain Marvel, especially not in Endgame. So where Peter got that name from, who knows? We'll have to see. Or it's a mistake. But let's move forward into what comes next in Phase 4 of the MCU as Spider-Man rounds out Phase 3, because Disney this week announced all of their, like a huge part of their film slate all the way through 2027 in some cases. Marvel, they basically called dates. They said I call that day for Marvel films through 2022. The 2027 is Avatar 5 has a release date.
Can't wait.
Wow.
Can't wait for Avatar 5.
5 has its release date.
We
Including
haven't even gotten Avatar 2.
Exactly.
They also dropped stuff like the Star Wars the next Star Wars trilogy coming out in the mid 2020s. But 8 films now have release dates for the MCU, and then you have 3 non-MCU films that have release dates, including New Mutants, which has once again been pushed back. So we're going to start with New Mutants.
Well, does that now mean that they're actually doing the reshoots? Is that what's happening?
This is the interesting thing. So New Mutants, which as recently as like a month ago, was announced to be coming out in August of 2019, is now being given a release date of April 3rd, 2020, next year. Now, that's the only one of these that we know for sure. It's the only Marvel movie after Spider-Man that we actually have a confirmed release date for. Otherwise, we have dates but no names.
Yeah.
Do you guys think with Disney pushing this film back to the point where they could easily reshoot a lot of it, if not all of it, if they really had to, given actor availability and all that? A lot of people are talking about this. Do you think there's a possibility that New Mutants becomes an X-Men entry into the MCU? The title's there, New Mutants.
No, it's true. I actually hadn't thought about it. I only thought about it in terms of the reshoots, but it's a logical point, and I would expect not an actual bridge with MCU characters, but I think that this could be the starting point where they can start to tell those stories, in a few movies down the road. I think that, I don't know that the moving the date has anything to do with it, but it definitely gives them that opportunity. I think they should capitalize on that.
Well, to me, it also shows a certain amount of faith in the film. Because April 3rd is a pretty good slot. Like, August is like a middling...
That was like garbage time.
Yeah. August is like, you might get a couple really good films at that point, but it's also somewhat a like, all right, these are like our okay, not great, but like we don't hate them times. September is pretty rough You don't get big releases in September, and you don't get big releases in January. But April, remember, is when Infinity War came out and when Endgame came out, like towards the end of that month. But that's pretty prime real estate for Marvel movies. So to drop the next thing that's going to have a Marvel logo after, yes, you got Dark Phoenix coming, but you're not going to have another Marvel movie until after this comes out. It could be like, I could see them taking these characters who are all young, who are not connected to the school or anything like that, and introducing the idea of mutants into the MCU through these characters. It's possible.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be really cool, because then it hopefully won't be too long before we actually get, Fantastic Four and some other stuff, X-Men stuff.
Look, it's one of those things where Disney just wound up with like a movie that needs work, but if they're gonna put in the work and not just like drop it as like a forgettable afternote to the Fox mutant saga, why not make it good? Like, look, you've got some big actors already in this. Like, you have Maisie Williams coming out of Game of Thrones. You've got Anya Taylor-Joy as Magic. Like, that was I think that's still good casting. And you have Charlie Heaton coming out of Stranger Things. Like, they have, that's like perfect Marvel universe level people where like who they are, but you haven't really seen them on the big screen like this. And Magic, Wolfsbane, Cannibal, Sunspot, Mirage, like, I'm just looking at like the list of characters that are in this film. Like,
yeah, it's the classic New Mutants lineup.
Yeah, it's not your original X-Men lineup, but if you sit Kevin Feige down and like the Marvel team with the New Mutant script and like fuddle it around and make it more MCU, it's a decent way to introduce mutants, especially with the like mental hospital setting.
I do hope that they keep that more horror themed vibe, though, because I really, really liked that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Just as a darker sort of, if they MCU it up a little bit, if they keep that and keep it sort of like darker tones, which I think X-Men should have anyway. Like, there are obviously some great, I mean, even just looking back at the 90s cartoon X-Men, there's a lot of really funny moments, especially with Wolverine, but it has more of an edge that I hope that we'll get to see.
Yeah. I mean, this could be a cool way to do X-Men in the MCU without feeling like, and do it sooner rather than like waiting. Because like, yeah, we all want to see the school. We all want to see like a new Professor Xavier in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we want to see the big names. But maybe the way to do mutants in the MCU is to go with the lesser known characters on the fringes of society, becoming mutants, whether you blame the snap or not. They become like, this is like, the mutants are starting to evolve, and then the school can come later as a reaction to mutants coming up in society and needing protection.
Yeah.
And when it becomes a thing of, so what if you have the New Mutants running around in this world? Maybe you even do a second one with these characters. You start to bring in other people, and you end a second New Mutants film where they're on the run with Professor Xavier stepping in, come with me, I can protect you. And then you bring them into the world, and that way you don't have to do another X-Men origin story for your main cast. You can have these young characters, these New Mutants, be your window, and then they walk into the school, and there's Cyclops, there's Jean Grey, there's Storm, and they're all just there, fully formed, and then you can run with that as a big ensemble piece. I'm just going off the top of my head here, guys.
Yeah,
Literally all we had coming into today was, it's coming out in April next year.
But this is what happens. You start thinking about it, you read about it too much, and you're like,
and then
theories.
And then I get excited and start yelling. All right, but so let's talk about the future. What we got? So here's the dates that have been put on the slate, and you guys can look this up as well. So in 2020, there are 4 film slots, 2 for Marvel and Disney, and 2 for Sony. And so you've got May 1st, MCU, July 10th, Sony, October 10th, Sony, untitled Marvel sequel is what has been said about it, but we don't know what. Just says the rumor's just been Marvel sequel.
Sony Marvel sequel, though.
Yes, okay. Sony Marvel sequel.
Gotcha.
November 6th, 2020, MCU, and then the rest of these are all MCU. You've got February 12th, 2021, May 7th, 2021, November 5th, 2021. So two MCU in 2020, and 3 MCU in 2021. 2022, you've got February 18th, May 6th, and July 29th. So this is another reason that people are pointing at New Mutants as a potential MCU film, because that would mean 3 for 2020, which is Marvel's like usual numbers, is to do 3. So it could be that they're just gearing up and they only had 2 for next year. But if New Mutants is MCU, that makes it up around 3. So let's go through these, you guys. So this, because I just thought this would be fun to do today.
Yeah.
So May 1st, 2020, and November 6th, 2020 is the 2 MCU entrants. Almost definitely going to be Black Widow and the Eternals. Which one is which? That's more up to your interpretation. But those are the 2 that are in production right now. Black Widow, actually, people saw. There's supposedly somebody saw the set shooting in London this week.
Yeah.
Outside of in Black Park in the UK. Supposedly there were signs for Central Park. I guess we're going to New York, but they're in the UK. It was next to the Skywalker stages. So Black Widow is in production as well.
All right.
So Black Widow seems very likely for next year. Which one do you guys think, if it's going to be Eternals and Black Widow next year as the 2 that are in production, which one is May, which one is November?
I'm going to say Black Widow first because
Yeah.
it's not going to be as effects heavy.
Yep.
You know, I think it's a little bit more of a straightforward movie, and there's certainly going to be some effects that need to be done. But I think Eternals is going to need a long time. So that's the one where I feel pretty confident we can predict that that's what the one is.
Yeah, and Eternals is still like randomly announcing casting.
Yeah.
I'm going to aside to jump ahead to another story. Jill, if we could throw up that other photo. I believe it's number 3, because they supposedly, this is a rumor, Richard Madden, aka Rob Stark, is being courted to play Icarus in the Eternals.
I can see it and I like it.
So there's this cast is really
Also,
filling
I just watched him in
out.
Game of Thrones.
And like this, theoretically, he could be considered the lead in a lot of cases. Like he's at the head of this team. That doesn't necessarily make him have to be the lead of the movie, but he is a leader on the team.
Right.
Icarus.
And then the love story with Cersei. There's right.
Plus, like, you could see him making out with Angelina Jolie.
Absolutely.
He can probably see himself doing that too. You know,
He's like, that's
hey,
why
if
I
I got
took the
to go to
role.
work and do that, I guess I'm gonna do it. All
How
right.
often do you think that happens in like a pitch meeting with with an actor? It's like, look, we really want you for this, like, and they're like, I don't, maybe this is. You get to make out with this actor or
Actor,
actress.
actress.
I'm pretty sure that's why Seth Rogen did the long shot, because he got to make out with Charlize Theron. When I even like literally as it was happening in the movie, I was like, oh, that's why he did this.
Patton Oswalt's like talked about just with Charlize Theron. Is like people are like, Patton Oswalt, you're a loser. He's like, which one of us got to make out with Charlize Theron?
Yeah, there you go.
Dude, she's so beautiful. It's not even funny. Let's put her in the Eternals.
Hey, maybe Charlize Theron just wanted to make out with Patton Oswalt.
Hey, you might be onto something there.
You're
He's
right.
Funny.
You never know.
All right, so also in 2020, so it seems like, Black Widow for May 1st, The Eternals for November 6th. And then you have, I saw you guys were sorry. Patton Oswalt was in a different movie with Charlize Theron.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was a
Years
It's
ago.
not the same movie. Yeah.
I didn't confuse those two
Yeah.
people. But then in between those two, Sony has 2 dates picked out for July 10th and October 2nd. Morbius is almost definitely one of those because they're already in production. That would probably be July, although October for a vampire movie also makes a lot of sense.
Makes a
if they
lot
were
of
just going to
sense,
flip them
yeah.
around.
I would like
But
that.
July 10th is like really soon for like Venom was rumored to be starting. Venom 2 was rumored to be starting production in November. But that would, even for if it's November to November, only a year for shooting and getting it out on screen. Pretty tight
Yeah.
for a big effects movie where you're theoretically going to have Venom fighting Carnage.
Yeah.
Which I wonder too if, oh God, Carnage, I can't wait to see that. I know a lot of people had some problems with, even though it was a successful movie, a lot of people had problems with it. I don't necessarily agree with all of them. If they're also planning on addressing that, and that could also theoretically take more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think that they could turn it around. You know, I mean, unfortunately, movies get rushed all the time, and if they rush it too much, it's going to suffer. But I think if they at least have a decent script at this point, you know, they probably feel confident that they could reach that date. But
yeah. We'll have to see. The other possibility I could see is a Spider-Verse spinoff or sequel. Animation can sometimes take longer, can sometimes also take less. Like with a lot of the assets and the artwork already done for Spider-Verse, like they're just saying it's a Marvel Sony sequel, and we know that there are several Spider-Verse movie like sequels and spinoffs like in the works. I could see this being one of them. That's 2 years between the two films. And like I think Sony knew before that movie came out how special it was going to be and how well it was probably going to be received. So like because the sequel was announced like right away, so I could see them have like starting development on the script, and like 2 years is again tight for an animated sequel, but not impossible. So like I could see the Spider-Women spinoff happening there. It could be really cool. Not Spider-Verse 2. I think Spider-Verse 2 is going to take a little longer, but I could see Spider-Women having been.
Yeah, I think like an offshoot for one of those that we talked about, you know, back then.
How about just a Spider-Ham offshoot?
I mean,
just a Spider-Ham.
Please, movie. Yes, I'll go see it twice.
Well, that was something we didn't get to talk about last week. Is that Phil Lord and Chris Miller have signed on to an overall deal with Sony to develop television properties, including. Stuff with their Marvel catalog, their Spider-Man catalog. So they talked about like them being several spin-offs from the Spider-Verse, and so a Spider-Verse TV adaptation of some kind for like one or two of the characters is the main thought for the potential of that deal with Lord and Miller. So you're not far off. All right, so let's keep going forward. Let's talk about 2021, which has February 12th, May 7th, and November 5th. So my thoughts on this one, and then you guys tell me what you were thinking. I think February 12th is Shang-Chi, which you've heard is in development. It seems like February is like that's the same month that Black Panther came out. And so I think Marvel is trying to stake out, because they also have a February date in 2022. I think they're trying to own that month as like a great Marvel time, which is traditionally not a huge movie release.
Very true, yeah.
But February 12th, 2021, it would be Shang-Chi. May 7th, 2021, my money would be on Doctor Strange 2.
Okay.
And then for November 5th, 2021, Captain Marvel 2.
I think Black Panther 2 will come out that year over one of those, and I think Shang-Chi, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. I think that you don't want to follow up Eternals with Shang-Chi only because it's unproven property. I think you want to put something that's a safe bet in that spot. But I like what you're saying about February. So it makes sense. I just think from a business standpoint, they're going to put a sequel after Eternals.
That makes sense. I put Black Panther 2 into the February 18th, 2022 spot only because
February.
I was giving Black Panther more time. Because like we've heard very little about it at this point. Granted, we've heard very little about any of these. And we do know that they've committed to Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
At least bringing the director back in, and they're working on the script. So 2021 is reasonable for Black Panther.
Yeah. But I mean, it all seems logical. I wouldn't be surprised if the slots you picked are exactly what happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Captain Marvel 2 just seems like it's made over $1 billion at the box office. A sequel seems likely. Like they haven't announced it, but I can't imagine that they're not already writing the script.
I mean, it's still in the top 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's still doing really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think that it is again something that they're going to want a known character to come out sooner. So Captain Marvel makes sense there to me. But you could also we know that one of these 2021 movies was almost definitely Guardians of the Galaxy 3. If not, it might have actually been one of the 2020 movies. Like it might have been the Eternal spot, like in November 6th that we put.
Yeah, no, I think that it was supposed to be one of the next movies.
Yeah,
you know, like to kick off the next phase.
But so 2022, I'd said Black Panther 2 for February 18th, but you think swap it with Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And I think February also just like because it's like. I think they're going to want Black Panther there again because it's Black History Month and it did so well in that spot again. And I can see them using it as a like introducing characters you just haven't necessarily heard of before. And like Shang-Chi definitely fits the have you not heard of this character before bill. So I could see them going with Shang-Chi in either one of those February spots. For May 6th, 2022, if Captain Marvel 2 doesn't hit November, I think it's here. But Guardians of the Galaxy 3, this would be enough time for James Gunn to have shot the Suicide Squad, gotten it to the film, and then started on Guardians 3, and then get it to
yeah, and I mean, the advantage for Guardians
process.
3 is that they do have the script already.
Yes, the script
just
is
have to
already
go
written.
into production. Yeah.
Like those would be the most likely spots for there. I also said it could be Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, or 3, depending on how you want to look at it.
Ant-Man 3, yeah.
Yeah. And then outside shot, because the leaks that like they've started development on a Nova movie, depending on how many new characters they really want to introduce here.
Wow.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think a third Ant-Man movie is a slam dunk. I love him. I want to see him, but neither of those movies have, been huge performers at the box office. So I don't know how much of a rush they're in. I think they like him in a complimentary role, but I'd love to be wrong. I want there to be an Ant-Man 3 and 4. I just wonder how much of a rush they're in to do one of those.
The reason I say that you get Ant-Man and the Wasp, the follow-up somewhere in there is depending on where Guardians of the Galaxy 3 lands and like how long the Suicide Squad is going to take to make. I think you want some comedy, some
Good
straight
point.
up comedy in there.
Definitely a good point.
Which Captain Marvel 2 is not, Black Panther is not, Doctor Strange is not. I don't know what Shang-Chi is going to be. I don't know what the Eternals is going to be, but you need some comedy, and Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of those.
It's a great point, yeah.
As for July 29th, 2022, my money's on Spider-Man 3. I know that we're just getting Spider-Man Far From Home now, but that's 3 years apart, which is the same distance between Far From Home and Homecoming. And
Okay.
Sony,
Wow,
I
it's
don't
been
think
that
is
long.
going to want to wait to put. They're not going to want to wait 4 years for another live-action Spider-Man.
Now, do you think that we will see any of the former Fox properties like X-Men or Fantastic Four before 2023? Because I kind of feel like they're gonna, their own movies. I don't think any of these are possibly any of those.
No, I don't think any of them are. These are dates that they already had set in stone.
right, exactly.
Feige said they had a 5-year plan for
Right,
after
that's
Endgame, and
what
it
I
did
was
not
thinking.
include anything from Fox.
Yeah.
So it's possible that they could re-engineer that now that they have those properties, but I think you're going to see a big gap depending on what they do with New Mutants. Like that's X Factor here.
Nice. I like that.
Is what they're intending to do with New Mutants, but no, I don't think you're going to see an X-Men or Fantastic Four movie in any of these spots. And just for fun, my working title for Spider-Man 3 is Home for Hanukkah.
Nice. I like it.
Home for the Holidays is like a more realistic one, but I want it to be a Hanukkah movie. Give me a Hanukkah movie, Marvel. All right, we're running low on time, so I'm just gonna rapid fire some headlines at you guys if you don't mind.
I'll make faces.
Well, we talked about it a little bit last week with the time travel thing. If you want to know more about like the fact that the writers and the directors seem to be on completely different pages about how time travel works in this universe,
I do like that.
go
by the
check
way.
out what the writers have been saying. It's very funny to see the fact that the filmmakers don't agree, and also underlines why there may have been some inconsistencies in the film. Not that that's a huge problem. It's just funny for nerds to dissect.
Yeah.
We finally found out what Catherine Langford from 13 Reasons Why, what her mystery role was going to be, because there had been rumors that she'd been cast in it, but then she wasn't in the final film. Apparently, she was going to be a version of Morgan Stark that Tony saw in that little like netherworld soulstone thing that we got with Thanos after he snapped and he saw a little Gamora. It was going to be an older version of Morgan that Tony got to see after he snapped his fingers, but before he died. But they cut it out of the film because they said that it was just too much saying goodbye, and Pepper already had the "you can rest now" thing, or they may have shifted it to her. because they felt it was more impactful.
Yeah, I think I read about that, and I think logically we didn't need that. In our 3-hour movie, we didn't need to add this other extra section, and I think the film worked fine without it.
Yeah, and also I know people were excited, but I have no idea who she is. I've never seen
Well, there's
13
that
Reasons
too.
Why, so I was like, I don't care.
She has a big fan base. I thought it was worth just showing it. Some quick other Endgame Easter eggs that people found this week. I don't even know if we mentioned the Howard the Duck thing, where he's like in the little, like, you can see him very, very quickly in those scenes. Apparently they added it in super last minute, where the Russo brothers like, can we get Howard in here? Like 3 weeks before they were done.
Love
They're like,
that.
we'll see. And they did. Apparently, and I didn't catch this any of the times I saw it, there may have been a Brian Braddock Captain Britain Easter egg when they went to the 70s, because apparently you can hear Peggy Carter mention, like, has Braddock checked in while Steve's staring at her through the glass.
Although his father is also a character in the Marvel Universe. So which would make more sense for 1970 if they're going to actually do Captain Britain. But I did like the mention. Yeah,
Braddock was mentioned, which is just like, oh, cool. Apparently they filmed a scene that was like mostly improvised between Thor and Valkyrie where they almost kissed.
No.
No, hold on. It's actually way better than that sounds.
Okay.
Because it's just these two actors have been working together a lot. They're doing the Men in Black movie,
Right,
so they're
yeah.
very comfortable with each other.
They
and
do
were
have a great
apparently
chemistry.
riffing, and where she like touched his shoulder as he's saying goodbye. And then he like went to lean in for it, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like,
Okay, that's
"Oh,
great.
I thought the shoulder touch." And
I love
Okay,
that.
that would have actually been really
like
good.
it was just two people like riffing off each other.
Nice.
But they cut it because it wasn't pacing right. But it
I
would have
can
been
see
very
that.
funny.
Yeah, that'd
and
be good.
I'm sure we'll see it the fact they mentioned it, we'll probably see it on a Blu-ray thing somewhere. We're not going to play the thing, but I want to real quick show this image from Jessica Jones. I'm sorry, Shayla, we're wrapping up, I swear.
A lot of news.
Yeah, there's a lot of news this week because the final season is coming
Soon? Question mark.
This is so much later than I thought it was going
Yeah,
to
me
be.
too.
I really thought we would have this by now.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think they wanted to wait until after Endgame. I don't know, like, we don't even know when in the Marvel Cinematic Universe this takes place. They probably just ignore a lot of this other stuff going on. I was looking at this for, like, hints of dust that may or may not have been on there.
I see blood.
I would love if they found a way to use this to, like, show us the ground level of post-Infinity War or post-Endgame, but I don't think they will.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll get a date on that soon. There was a Legion Season 3 trailer. We don't have time to talk about it, but I got a place where you guys can hear people talk about it, and Christian's going to tell you where you can find that.
Yes, you can find Z and I Sunday nights over on our sister network AfterBuzz TV for Marvel TV Weekly. That's Sundays at 9 Pacific. And yes, we talked about Legion. The season will premiere on June 26th. I think it's that week. I think it's a Monday, which is interesting.
Yeah.
that it's Monday.
There
is
was
interesting, but
there
okay.
was this quote from the Jessica Jones when they posted that. Everything changes and nothing really changes. People die, new people are born, and we exist in between, which feels super on point for being between Infinity War and Endgame, and also feels kind of meta about, like, we exist in between because they won't acknowledge that we're here, except for James Darcy.
Yes, exactly.
But like, so, okay, now we got to wrap it up. Unfortunately, we've run out of time in the studio, but where can everyone keep up with you other than Marvel TV Weekly?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Xia_Land. That's spelled XIA_Land.
And I'm Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ThatZachWilson. Also, check out my other podcast, The Ships in the Night, where we ship random fictional characters together. This week we had AfterBuzz TV's own Brianna Phipps to come in, and we talked about what if Peach and Aladdin got together. It was real weird and super fun. Check that out at Ships in the Night. And be sure to rate, like, subscribe, Marvel Movie News, whichever platform you happen to be listening to us on. It really does help. It helps other people find us. Until next week, guys, this has been Marvel Movie News. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.